Welcome back to Diaries of the Lost. It's your girl Sweet Pea, and I am back with another true crime video. So tonight we're going to be talking about, you guys see the title, you guys see the thumbnail, a mother of two boys, Tiffanie Lucas, who is 33, out of Kentucky. She actually unalived her two sons, claiming that Facebook Wi-Fi was to blame. Check out this clip.
Y'all having a good time? What?
Oh, look at those little baby angels. They are what's trending in true crime. Their mother faced a judge just days after she was accused of fatally shooting her two boys to death. 32-year-old Tiffanie Lucas is her name. That's her right there. Look at her. Charged with 2 counts of murder, appeared in a Kentucky courtroom Tuesday. She's accused of murdering her 6- and 9-year-old sons, those beautiful boys. Police say she shot them both in the head. How disgusting is that? Those 2 boys were found by a neighbor. They were covered in blood in the home that they shared with their mother, the person who was supposed to be protecting them. Those little slain siblings were rushed to a nearby children's hospital and sadly did not survive their injuries. And Lucas's Facebook page portrays her as a loving mother who just coordinated Star Wars-themed Halloween costumes for her and her boys. Look at this. There's a picture of them recently. As more details are coming out of her past, we're learning about a drug possession conviction. And our question this morning, how did she have custody of these kids? Let's bring in our guest now. I have with me in the studio law enforcement expert Sonny Slaughter, standing by remotely criminal defense and civil rights attorney Kesia Early, and the state attorney for Palm Beach County, Florida, Dave Ehrenberg. Good morning to you all. I'm so happy to have you with us here on the show to discuss this very important and heartbreaking case. Sonny, I'd like to begin with you. Your thoughts on how in the world she had custody of those boys when we understand she had quite a checkered past.
Thank you for having me, Julie. I believe that there was absolutely a breakdown in our system when you think about child protective services and law enforcement and the investigative process and what happened in this particular case that allowed her to have any physical custody and not just potentially supervised visitation.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's just so hard to think about. And then you see the picture of them on Halloween and they look happy together and you think, how in the world can this happen? Kesia Early, let me go to you next, please. Your take on this.
Good morning, Julie. This is absolutely heartbreaking. As a mother of 4, every time I hear about a parent killing their children, I could just never imagine how do they reach that point. And even looking at her social media, you would think that this was a happy life, they enjoyed time, but there was a message on one of her social media where she depicted that she didn't have help from the father of her children. There could be depression, signs of abuse, whatever the case may be. This is a hard and sad story for the children, but also for the family members, because there was a clip that the family said she had options. If she was really depressed, she could have reached out, and there was also an eviction notice left on the kitchen table, so it could be a host of issues why she chose to take this route.
Mm-hmm. Right, Kesia. Dave Ehrenberg, last but certainly not least, your take on this case, please.
Yeah, Julie, this is so tragic. It's hard, though, to know at this point what the relationship there was on the other side with the father's family. There was a press conference afterwards with relatives of the father who were lashing out, saying, this is no accident. I mean, the excuse she made that it was an accidental death. You don't shoot a baby, a child, twice in the head and call it an accident, and then the other one gets shot too. So she lies. She obviously has drug addictions. As far as why she had custody. We just don't know what it was like on the other side, on the father's side, if he gave up custody or if there were issues over there. So at this point, it's probably premature. Although, look, it's not going to be the first time in a state that Child Protective Services screw up. It seems to be way too common in this age of budget cuts.
Oh, Dave, appreciate it so much. Very well said. You know, we know there were some new details we learned in that Tuesday preliminary hearing for Tiffanie Lucas. Detective Richard Beal was the only witness of the day, and he testified about what Lucas told police after the shootings. Take a look.
I asked Ms. Lucas if she meant to hurt her children, and she indicated that it was an accident. Quote, it was an accident, end quote. She also made some comments such as, quote, I'm in such a bad spot, end quote. Quote, I'm so stupid, end quote. End quote, I would never do anything like this unless someone manipulated me, end quote.
Tragic details in such a tragic case. And the question we're asking this morning, do these crimes warrant the death penalty? We know that capital punishment is legal in the state of Kentucky, but won't apply if a person is deemed to be mentally ill by the court. Based on all the allegations we're hearing, should Tiffanie Lucas face the death penalty if she is convicted of these crimes? I want to turn back to my guests now and get their thoughts. Sunny Slaughter, let me go to you, please.
Emotionally,
now, I just want to point out that this is these interviews, this clip here is prior to her sentencing. She actually was sentenced on the 22nd of this month, and she was found, of course, she was found guilty. She was given life with the possibility of parole. And I believe that's when she gets to around the age of 52. So we're going to talk about that. I do know that a lot of these cases, we hear this all the time, that, okay, why were they still with the mother? There's budget cuts. Oh, there's a breakdown in our justice system. Oh, the system failed these kids. We hear that time and time again with these cases, and we just can't keep going through that. Something has to be done about this situation with mothers, parents, people that are in charge of these children, and they have drug addiction problems. They have plenty of CPS instances, and they just keep giving these kids back and putting them in these environments, and then something happens to them and they're unalived. So this is horrible. It's heartbreaking. Hey, Mrs. Jordan. Hey, Bougie Barbie. Hey, C. Miles. What's going on, Stormy? C. Miles said if they were Pearly, she would have got the death penalty. Well, I guess what they said in this state, in the state of Kentucky, if a person is found to be sane, I guess they can't get the death penalty. But yeah, we're going to break this down. So
I want to say yes, but as a law enforcement expert, I need to keep the audience informed that facts and evidence matter, including a mental health evaluation and all of the circumstantial and confirmed evidence around this case. So we should not, we might have our opinions, but we need to be careful how we think about this particular case until we have all of the evidence available to us.
Right. I really like what you're saying here. We do need more facts. I wish we had more facts. And depending on which way this goes factually, whether there is zero evidence of mental illness, that may warrant the death penalty versus if there is a whole different story. Casey or Early, back to you on this one. Your thoughts on whether or not prosecutors may make the decision to seek it. How do you see the case playing out, please?
Well, I believe that those initial incriminating statements may be used as aggravating factors because initially, it doesn't appear to be a mistake, as my colleague stated. She was better off not saying anything. That way, the defense can properly prepare a better defense theory in this case. So that may go against her as an aggravating factor, but of course, there could be mitigating factors. Yes, she had.
I don't don't like that statement right there. She was better off not saying anything, and then the defense could have prepared a proper defense for her. That almost sounds like she's saying she's better off not saying anything so that she could have got a better, a better trial, or they could have, maybe lied for her or said something that made her look better. What can you possibly say in this woman's defense? Come on, she killed her 2 sons, shot one, then shot the other. There's nothing you can say to get her out of this. I mean, that's what it sounded like she's saying, she was better off being quiet. No, come on.
A history of drug abuse, but she didn't really have a significant violent criminal history, and she was the primary caretaker of the boys and then had a long span of no criminal history. So she may have substantial mitigating factors that can outweigh any aggravating factors for the death penalty.
I love you bringing this up, Casey. You're right. It is a balancing test, most certainly. Dave Ehrenberg, to you next, please. You certainly know what a weighty decision it is for a state attorney's office anytime to make that decision. Talk to us about some of the things that the office is going to go through in the coming weeks to gather that information in order to make the proper call.
We look at the aggravators versus the mitigators. And as Casey said, it doesn't look like she has an extensive criminal record. Plus, if there's mental health issues, if there are drug addiction issues, it's less likely they'll be able to get the death penalty. Doesn't mean they won't seek it. I mean, this is a horrific case about 2 especially vulnerable individuals who were murdered. And so as such, it's going to be on the table. But in the end, we should be frank, it's very difficult to get the death penalty on a woman who kills her kids. It's very unlikely. Jurors do not like to impose a death penalty on women. It's just a reality.
So I want to read the article, try to give us some context on what took place here. So a woman claimed that Facebook Wi-Fi manipulated her into killing her 2 sons. All right, so she's been sentenced for murder. She was sentenced on this week on the 22nd. So one of the boys' fathers gave a heartbreaking impact statement before sentencing, while the woman's lawyer showed footage of her pleading for help before the murder. A Kentucky mother was sentenced to 2 life sentences in prison on Friday after pleading guilty to murdering her 2 sons. Tiffanie Lucas, 33, of Shepherdsville, admitted to shooting 6-year-old son Maurice and 9-year-old son Jayden in the head in November of 2023. Both boys died from their injuries at the hospital. The judge gave Lucas the maximum sentence possible, with Lucas eligible for parole in 20 years. Prosecutors, however, told WDRB the chances of her ever getting out of prison are slim to none. On November 8th, 2023, the sound of gunshots were captured on a Ring camera near Lucas's home before Lucas herself ran out of the residence pleading for help. A neighbor responded, finding the boys and calling the police. Responding officers reportedly said Lucas collapsed in the driveway before telling him that her kids were dying inside. The 2 children were found next to the gun, covered in blood. When she was questioned by police, Lucas reportedly said, "I'm in such a bad spot. I'm so stupid, and I would never do anything like this unless someone manipulated me." Per Detective Richard Beal, Per Detective Beal, who testified during a previous court appearance, Lucas made statements that she was being manipulated through Facebook, through the internet, or through Wi-Fi into doing what she did. Now, during this, victims were able to make an impact statement. Lucas previously entered a not guilty plea, while attorneys were reportedly seeking an insanity defense. In October, however, she changed her plea to guilty. Before sentencing, her attorneys gave their first comments on the case, reportedly claiming Lucas had powerful delusions on the day of the shooting and tried to shoot herself, but the gun jammed. They also showed video to highlight her apparent mental state leading up to the murders, including footage where she was reportedly seen pleading, "I need to have good people around me. I need family. I need help." Maurice Baker Sr., the father of one of the victims, gave an impact statement as well before Lucas was sentenced, claiming she held my son over my head. So many birthdays he missed. I had a party planned and she never let him come. I begged her, he said. The last time I texted her, I asked her, please, can I just talk to my son? She ignored me. He also reportedly looked directly at Lucas saying, you know what you are. I'll never see my son again, he said. Jayden's family will never see him again. They don't have a second chance. The judge, meanwhile, reportedly said he couldn't imagine the sheer horror these children must have experienced seeing their mother with a gun. The sheer horror that second child had as he heard the discharge of that weapon for the first child, and maybe even both of them seeing their mother pull the trigger, taking their lives. Now, that's actually where I'm at with this. I can't imagine how these babies felt seeing, one being shot and then knowing that you're going to shoot me next. They weren't small babies. They were 6 and 9. So whether she shot the 6-year-old first or the 9-year-old first, they both understood what was taking place. And that's horrific. Now, what I don't understand is this whole life sentencing. If she got 2 life terms, I'm not understanding how she gonna get out in 20 years. How is that 2 life sentences? They were 6 and 9, so their life value only got 10 years apiece. That's what it seems like to me. 10 years apiece. I'm not understanding that. She's eligible for parole in 20 years. She will be 52 years old. I mean, that is just ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Court will adjudge the defendant guilty of the offense of murder and fix her sentence at life in prison. This time, the court will order that the Sheriff's Department deliver the defendant to the custody of the Corrections Cabinet for service of her sentence of imprisonment. That's all for today. Court will be adjourned.
Applause afterwards as you got the word from the judge today. New tonight, life in prison for Tiffanie Lucas. It comes after she pleaded guilty to murdering both of her sons, Maurice Baker and Jayden Howard. That was a little over a year ago on November 8th, 2023. The boys' family gathering in the courtroom today, speaking directly to Lucas, telling her how their lives have been changed forever. It's our top story. Hello, everybody. I'm Doug Proffitt.
And I'm Connie Leonard. Ian Hardwick and photojournalist Addie Hill spoke with one family member who says she'll be there when Lucas is up for parole.
Tiffanie Lucas looks ahead at life in prison after pleading guilty to murdering her young boys, Maurice Baker Jr. and Jayden Howard. From Baker's grandmother to heartbroken cousins and Howard's stepmother, the families faced Lucas down ahead of her sentencing.
I have been in Jayden's life since he was 6 months old. While I'm thankful for the time I had with him, it was too short. My daughter, Charlie Howard, is 4 years old, and she has already lost her father, and he took her only brother.
The testimony was enough to bring Lucas to tears. After shooting her sons, Lucas collapsed in the neighbor's driveway where she stayed as officers put her in handcuffs. When she was brought to the Bullitt County Sheriff's Office, she said she'd shot herself in the head. Her defense lawyers say that was Lucas's plan.
Even at her lowest, when she thought she was protecting them from an imminent abduction and lifetime of horrific trauma, she never imagined a life without them. But the gun jammed when she turned it on herself.
Bobby Baker, who loved both boys, told Lucas she'll be at her parole hearing.
When she turned it on herself.
Bobby Baker, who loved both boys, told Lucas she'll be at her parole hearing.
I don't know what happened to that. I don't know what's going on with that audio, but what I do know is that she said that she will be 52 when she gets out and that you can still have children at 52. And so she's just not understanding the sentence, So that's really what she said in that instance there. I don't know why it didn't pick up the recording, but that is what she's saying. Now, in my mind, I don't understand what she said, that she was trying to protect them from an abduction. Is that what I heard? Did I hear that right? That she was trying to protect them from danger, and then she tried to turn the gun on herself. So she was trying to protect them from being kidnapped, and so she shot them? Just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, let's just keep going with these clips.
Lucas, on count one, you admitted pleading guilty to the offense of murder.
Yes.
On count two, do you admit and plead guilty to the offense of murder?
Yes, sir.
Tiffanie Lucas, the Kentucky woman who shot her own children in the head, is now accepting full responsibility for murdering them. Lucas officially entered a guilty plea for the murders of her 2 children, bringing an end to her previous bid to plead insanity and leaving her fate in the hands of a Bullitt County judge now. Will she spend the rest of her life behind bars? Well, I'm going to talk with the prosecutor on this case as we look ahead to Lucas's sentencing. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
So the reason why I chose to review this clip is because I wanted you guys to hear what the prosecutor had to say prior to them sentencing her. And I also wanted you to see some video of her, how she was with her children. She actually, they have clips of her Facebook and, right up until the murder. I mean, they have pictures and video footage of them in the store, them, her filming them. Like, it just didn't seem like she was insane or she was going through anything. But what I found to be kind of like the norm is that one of the children's father said that she was holding it over their head, over his head, that he wanted to spend time with the son. He wanted the son to come to the birthday party, and, she was often keeping him from their lives. So yeah, let's just keep watching.
An expressionless, stone-faced Tiffanie Lucas faced a judge in a Bullitt County courtroom this week as she officially entered a guilty plea to 2 counts of murder. And I don't think that we can ever forget what she did here. 33-year-old shot and killed her own sons, 6-year-old Maurice Baker Jr. and 9-year-old Jayden Howard. This was back on November 8th, 2023, inside of their home in Kentucky. A neighbor told police that he pulled into his driveway to see Lucas walking down the steps of the porch, telling him that the kids were dying before she collapsed in his driveway. He ends up running into her home in an attempt to save the boys, sees this horrific scene and calls 911. The children were rushed to a hospital where they later died. Now, here's where things took a very interesting legal turn. You see, just last month, Tiffanie Lucas informed the court of her intention to use the insanity defense, her insanity plea, though she was not going to challenge her competency to stand trial. It's 2 different things. And to be clear, this means that she wouldn't argue that she didn't commit the shooting. But when we talk about the insanity defense, it would be that she's not criminally responsible because she was not legally sane at the time. Here's the way it's defined under Kentucky law. A person is not responsible for criminal conduct if at the time of such conduct, as a result of mental illness or intellectual disability, she lacks substantial capacity either to appreciate the criminality of her conduct or conform her conduct to the requirements of law. Now, to be clear, Lucas did say some pretty wild things in her interviews to police about what had happened. She claimed that she would never do something like this unless someone manipulated her into doing so, and that she was being manipulated through Facebook, through her internet. She also indicated that the gun used in the shooting was given to her by someone else, and that she had left it in the bedroom, claiming the shooting was an accident. And in a previous hearing, a detective testified that that weapon was fired 4 times in a matter of 30 seconds. You want to talk about something being deliberate? Well, this week, in a seemingly change of heart, She told the judge she was ready and willing to accept the ramifications of entering a guilty plea. Take a listen.
4 times in 30 seconds. That's a lot. That's fast. You shot that gun 4 times in 30 seconds. You deliberately, that wasn't an accident. Not at all.
Do you suffer now, or have you ever suffered from any mental illness or defect which would affect your ability to think and reason?
No, sir.
At this time, are you ill or are you in any way impaired in your judgment?
No, sir.
Are you under the influence of alcohol or any other type of drug?
No, sir.
Do you understand what's happening in court at this time?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Lucas was just in court a little over a week ago where her legal team had indicated this change in plea. And she ended up entering what's called an open plea, meaning she was pleading guilty to her crimes, but without a plea deal. There's no sentencing recommendation from prosecutors here. There's no agreement about what the sentence will be. That is now going to be left up to the judge to decide what her punishment will be, Judge Rodney Burris. By the way, as you guys may know, we have been following the Tiffanie Lucas case from the very beginning, right when we heard about this horrific set of killings. And we have been trying to always update you on what's been happening in this case, to analyze these issues as they develop. And one of the reasons we're able to do this is because we have amazing support from our sponsors. And I just want to call out one in particular.
So at this time, he's getting ready to talk about his sponsors. So we're just going to skip right through that. And we're just going to, talk about our sponsors, which is Soul Sister. Which is Soul Sister Natural Hair Care. Go on over there to www.soulsisterllc.com and order yourself some of those natural hair care products. You see how it's got my fro looking, honey. Luscious and delicious, okay? We ain't advertising nobody else's stuff, okay? Let's just skip on through that.
Highest insurance offers in these cases. So if you're injured, you came at sidebar. One of the things that makes this case so chilling and eerie and strange is that if you look back at photos and videos, Lucas appeared to be pretty happy with her kids.
You welcome. Are y'all shopping? Yeah. Go Peanut. Go Peanut. Go Peanut. Go Peanut. Yay. Peanut.
It's so strange. It doesn't make sense. Now, last year here on Sidebar, we talked with Michelle Rice. This is
It makes sense to me. That's the social media, mirage that everybody puts on nowadays. Everybody runs the Facebook. Everybody runs the Instagram. They got to show everything they're doing with their kids. Got to take a video. Got to take a picture of everything to portray this perfect lifestyle. And this woman killed her kids after those videos. Not even a day later, she killed them. So, yeah, everything you see, everything that glitters is not always gold. I tell people that all the time. What you see on social media is just a glimpse of people's lives. Okay, just because they smiling and posting, shopping, eating, going out, doing all this does not mean that they are happy and that everything is okay.
6-year-old Maurice's stepmother, and she told us a different story of what was going on behind closed doors.
So when little Reese was little, as a young child, you don't really know what not to say. Mm-hmm. So he was the one that was letting us know, like, he was being left at home with just his brother, or being left alone in the car with his brother, and mom locks the car, things like that. So we were aware of things, then, things she was into and things like that. So it's not like, we kind of know her background. We know her background and stuff like that. She wanted people to see her as a certain way, but that's not really how she was. That's just how she wanted to be seen as, like on social media. Nobody really knew, behind the scenes of her, like her drug issues. She never had a job. She never worked, things like that. Like the boys were taken from her previously when they were smaller, do drugs, things like that. But they were given back.
When we talked with Rice, she said she wanted the death penalty for Tiffanie Lucas, fully believing that Lucas deserved to die for what she now has admitted to doing to these two young boys, her sons. But now that she's taken a plea, the death penalty, that's off the table. When she's sentenced on November 22nd, it's our understanding she could face 20 to 50 years behind bars or life in prison.
So I'm looking, she never had a job. Every time we see her on social media, it looks like she's got some type of money, some type of income. She was on drugs. I don't know, maybe she was a drug dealer. Maybe she was with drug dealers. But I mean, so the family or whoever it is talking, they said they know about her life. The boys was taken from her. The youngest one was telling them this is what I say about families, friends. Like, y'all know what's going on and you hear the kids crying out and telling you, but y'all just keep sending them back with the mom. You know what I'm saying? That the system keep giving them back to the mom. If this woman does not have a job, how is CPS giving her kids back? Says she never worked. Where's the income? Where's the money coming from?
On both murder counts, and it's going to be up to the judge to decide whether the sentences will run concurrently or consecutively. Okay, so now I want to introduce you to a special guest. We are joined by the prosecutor on this case, Bullitt County Commonwealth's Attorney Bailey Taylor. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate you taking the time.
You're welcome.
So I want to start by asking what your thoughts were on Lucas initially pleading not guilty, then intending for her to argue legal insanity, now switching her plea to guilty. What do you make of that?
Well, it was kind of a roller coaster ride. At the time that the tragedy occurred, we fully intended to go to trial. The policy in Kentucky is when a capital crime is charged and they are using the Department of Public Advocacy, they bring down what's called a capital crimes or capital trials branch, specialized attorneys that deal with these types of cases. And over a few months, we discussed the case. And at one point, it's perhaps a combination of the two. This was a case that had,
I'm sorry, you guys. We had an internet connection issue. So hopefully you guys are still here. And hopefully you guys can hear me. But yeah, we had an issue with the internet. So let's get back to it.
each side of the case had its own liabilities if the case went to trial. And I think they realized that there was a considerable amount to lose were they to go to trial.
And what would have been the risk for the prosecution in a case like this? I mean, looking at the fact pattern of it, it seems relatively straightforward, but was there a concern that perhaps she could mount an insanity defense, that perhaps she could be found not guilty by reason of insanity?
Well, one of the issues with an insanity defense in Kentucky is once that issue is raised, the Commonwealth has to respond to that and rebut it with proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So that is always an issue out there. I've never thought that the guilt phase was going to be a problem in this case. I thought that because there's really no issue about the guilt except for the criminal culpability, because there's no whodunit, there's no hidden gunman, anything like that. What I did have some concern about was if we went to the sentencing phase, apparently Miss Lucas had had a lot of problems in her past. I won't go into detail, but I thought that there was a possibility, not a great possibility, but there was a possibility that if we went to trial and got into the sentencing phase, that the jury might deliver a sentence that would be considerably less than what I would like to see.
And just to be clear, under Kentucky law, if this went to a jury to decide the punishment, not the judge, what would have been their options if she was convicted?
Well, the options that would have been, as the case stands now, would have been the same as what we're facing, which is 20 to 50 years or life without the possibility of parole for 20 years.
So what she ended up getting, as you guys know, she ended up getting life. She got 2 life sentences, but she is going to be paroled after 20 years. So she'll be about 52 when she gets out. I'm going to close these out. Because if I close those out, that might help with the stream health, because it's looking like, we having some issues with the stream, which is why it kind of like cut off and then we had to come back. But yeah, this is a sad, heartbreaking case, and it is all about what it appears to be on social media isn't always what it seems. You know what I'm saying? This girl had issues. She had drug issues in the past. The kids have been removed from her home in the past. And then you hear her relatives saying that she never worked. She had drug issues. The younger son was going back telling them that mom was leaving them in the car. Mom was leaving them home with older brother. And you could kind of see that the 6-year-old kind of looks skinnier than the 9-year-old. So I don't know if there was some issues there with them not really eating and maybe being malnourished, because he did look kind of skinny. So this is a sad situation all the way around, but the thing, that I find about the social media piece, she's saying that she's being manipulated by Facebook. She would have never done this, on her own. She's being manipulated by the internet, and that somebody else gave her that gun. Who do you think gave her a gun? She hasn't worked anywhere. She's into drugs. So what is she trying to say? Somebody that she's seeing, or maybe a boyfriend, or somebody gave her the gun to kill the kids with? Like, what was the whole reasoning of saying somebody gave you that gun, they left it in your room or whatever, and it was an accident? This is what she said at first. You know what I'm saying? And then she, I guess as she sat in a cell, she then changed her plea, and now she wanted to. But see, this is what happens in these cases and situations, like that young lady, that black attorney was saying in the beginning. If you don't have a criminal record, you haven't really done anything in your life that is violent or anything like that, they're going to do the mitigating circumstances or unmitigating circumstances, however they worded it, where if you haven't done anything like this before, any violence, you don't have a record, you can possibly get a plea deal or get off. Well, she didn't get a plea deal, but she really basically got off. Okay, she's going to get out one day off of 2 life sentences. So these children's lives is only worth 10 years apiece. They ain't taking into consideration that she had CPS cases before. The kids was taken from her before. You know what I'm saying? They're not taking any of that into consideration. They're just looking at, oh, well, she didn't have any violent crimes in the past. She wasn't locked up before. So, we're going to give her basically another chance at life. When she gets out, she'll be 52. So, Barbie says, I thought she was saying it was something supernatural forcing her to do it. I mean, what are you saying? What is she saying? Demons, was coming through the internet. She was being manipulated by forces through the internet. I mean, I guess that's probably why she was going with the insanity plea at first. But, I mean, you shot those babies 4 times. That gun went off 4 times in 30 seconds. I can't see that being insanity. Like, no, you knew exactly what you were doing. But the thing about it is, I'm stuck on them knowing that she was having issues with the kids, them hearing the 6-year-old saying that mom is leaving me in the car, mom is leaving me with older brother, mom is going, probably like she said, we knew what she was into, probably leaving them in the car, going and buying drugs, leaving them in the car, going doing whatever, them being in the house while she's doing whatever, or leaving them in the house while she go do whatever. You never had a job, but you still have your kids. CPS still letting you have your children with no income. How is that possible? What is going on in the state of Kentucky? But again, our justice system, when it comes to CPS, DHS, the Department of Human Services, Child Protective Services, they really need to be reevaluated. And they're not going to get any better. Now with Trump in office, it's just going to get worse. Okay? I mean, if we think now it's in shambles, you just wait. These next 4 years are going to really be horrible. Okay? I mean, how is she getting away with still having these kids with no job? That's where I'm at. Like, okay, really? Okay. Right? That's wild. Like, how do you have 2 boys, 6 and 9 years old? 6 and 9 years old, they need clothes, food, they need a lot of things. How you don't have no job, and they know you don't have no job, but looking at the Facebook, they had every little, they got the Halloween costumes. She's out at restaurants, drinking, sipping mimosas. She got makeup. She got everything. She don't look like she ain't got no job to me. Look like it could have been maybe some drug dealing, prostitution, something going on. She's not looking like a welfare mother or somebody that don't have a job. Okay? And then you see the girl that was talking on camera. She kind of looked like, her aesthetic. You see she had the little chain on that said Reese. Then she had the eyebrows and the hair. And she kind of, you see the aesthetic, what it was given. So you can see that the kids are mixed. So these are, women that look like they date black men, so they probably in the lifestyle, crime, drugs, living the fast life. But come on now, Facebook, you're being manipulated. So somebody manipulated and talked you into shooting your 2 boys. Now I can see her saying she's manipulated by Facebook or influenced by Facebook, influenced by social media, but not manipulated. Manipulated would be that somebody is making you, talking you into posting or telling you to do something, through the DM, or no, you want to present a certain life on Facebook. You want people to think you got it going on. You got money, that whole persona. You're living it up. You the it girl. You going out, you going out to eat, you going out, you a baby, you got your sons, y'all doing Halloween, you know the whole thing that people do. This is, want to portray that life. Okay? That is not manipulation. Okay? That's like what you call impersonating. That's what it's called. That's what you was doing. You was impersonating, perpetrating a fraud. Okay? You wasn't being manipulated. No. That's not what it was. That's not what it worked. You were impersonating and wanting everybody to think that you had a good life and everything. But see, that's another thing that people assume, just because they see that everything looks good on social media, that everything is fine. Nobody's coming and check. I mean, that, and then everybody want to get up here and cry, right? The mom, the sister-in-law, the baby mom, not baby mom, but the baby daddy, his sister, and them. Everybody is crying and they're all upset. The cousins and everybody's in the courtroom upset. But y'all could have done something and intervene with these kids. That's what we got to start doing. We can't be sitting back. It takes a village, and we got to get back to that. Like nowadays, people don't want to, intervene in people's lives. Like we want to mind our business. But when it's kids involved, 6 years old, 9 years old, babies, we're going to have to get involved. We're going to have to get into people's business. Because if this little boy is telling you that something's going on and y'all see that something's going on and y'all know what kind of lifestyle she's living, people are going to have to start checking up, popping up, saying, you know what, I'll take the kids, I'll take them for a little bit. Or even going to CPS, going down to the Department of Human Services and letting somebody know something's not right. She's not working. She's leaving the kids at home. You're going to have to do something. I remember that there was a case, and I might cover this case as well. There was recently a case where a mother, she went to Niagara Falls, another young girl, took her kids to Niagara Falls and threw them off into Niagara Falls. And these were not little kids either. They were little, but they weren't. I think one was 12 and the other one was an infant. So you watched your mom throw the baby over, then she threw you over, or however it went, but she dragged y'all over into the Niagara Falls area, the waterfall area. Nobody was watching her do this. How did she get over there? You know what I mean? Like, I have so many questions with that. How did she just throw the baby off into the Niagara Falls? How did she just get how did they climb over top of the railing? Like, how did she do this? Again, the family, she was suffering from postpartum. Okay, well, you didn't think it was odd that she was packing the kids up and they was driving all off somewhere? You didn't ask her where they was going? I mean, I'm sorry, but if I know that one of my relatives has postpartum and they got children and they're just packing up, going somewhere, I think I'm going to ride with you, or where y'all going, or no, let me keep the kids. Like, no, you don't let somebody go off on a road trip with children that has postpartum. So after these things happen and these emergencies happen, then everybody want to interview and everybody want to talk about, we saw the signs. Well, we knew something was going on, and you didn't intervene. There was no intervention. There's no reporting, nothing. So this is a sad situation. She ran out into, the street. She's letting the neighbors know that the kids are in the house dying. Can you imagine seeing something like that on your block? This is just sad. This is just the world that we're living in. People are really going through things. People are stressed. Money is tight, jobs, but I don't think this was that. This ain't that. This girl, she had drug problems. She had a history of not having the kids they was taken from her before and they was given back. I'm just stuck on that. How was they given back with no job, no income, no nothing? So the system is at fault here. The system failed these children. Their families failed them. These kids should still be here. Okay? If CPS had done their job right, these kids would still be here. If the family had stood up, these kids would still be here. Now, the father of one of the boys saying that she was holding the boy over his head, dangling over his head. Okay. Can I see my son? I want my son to come to the birthday party. You didn't go try to get visitation rights. You didn't take her to court. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just let her keep the kid away from you. You are a parent as well. You have rights as well. So what was going on there? What was that dynamic? And then where's the other baby daddy? Because that was the oldest son's father. So you got two different baby daddies. But we have to assume they reported it or they had no reason to expect this. People have postpartum illness all the time and don't do this. And that's another thing, like postpartum, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you are in the chat or you catch the replay, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't postpartum generally wear off like maybe after, 1 or 2 years old? Isn't that something that goes away in time? So you're supposed to be getting help. You're supposed to be getting counseling, getting treatment of some sort, seeing a physician, and get through the time period. That's what I always thought, that it wears off as the child gets older. You know what I'm saying? So if a person is suspected of having postpartum, I'm not going to say that this is something they're going to always kill their kids or they're going to always hurt their children. But if a person has postpartum, why take that risk? That they could harm themselves, or put the children in a tough situation. Because we always hear this, that if a child is murdered or killed by a mother, a lot of times it's found to be that she may have been suffering from postpartum. So if the family is suspecting of it, that the mother's dealing with postpartum, or if there was a diagnosis that there's some postpartum issues, the family is obligated, I think, in that instance, to pay attention to what is going on. Just be a little bit more vigilant, be a little bit more obsessive about the kids. Like, where you going? What you doing? I don't care if you feel like you're intruding and you're being weird with the mother. So what? You're trying to protect the children. You're not saying that she going to do anything or unalive them, but you're just it's better to be safe than sorry. Because we don't know. We don't know what triggers a person, how everyone reacts with postpartum. Some people could, just have a little bit mild depression and not harm the children. And then some could have it where they want to harm the kids. So, I don't know. I've heard everything about it. I just feel like this family here, they're saying that they knew that she had issues, there were drug issues. She was a person that never worked. I just feel like nobody was really paying attention to what was going on. They were just not doing enough, because if the baby's telling you that she's leaving them in a car, she's leaving him with the 9-year-old. Y'all should have been doing more. She shouldn't have had them children. And CPS, all this fall through the cracks. Oh, CPS, budget cuts and all of that should be the last thing that's cut. That's what gets me about our government, our school system, education, protection of children. All of this stuff is cut. That funding is cut. That should be the last thing cut. When it comes to protecting kids and educating children. But see, that's why our country is where it's at. Other countries, China, Russia, these places, their education system is so much better than ours. Their societies are so much better than ours. We so busy worrying about inclusion and teaching the kids about LGBT rights, Q rights, and all this stuff. We're not paying attention to the common sense things that we need to be paying attention to. We're just, us as a society, we've just gotten lost. We really have. And we doing all the wrong things. We doing all the things that don't matter. You know what I mean? Like making a place for things that just don't really need to be. Like, why do our kids need to know about LGBTQ plus QIA, all this stuff in elementary school? Why do they have to make characters in cartoons and children's stories? They have to have that. I'm not saying I have that in my family, the community, all through my family. And I'm not saying that they don't have rights. I'm just saying that certain things we don't have to put in front of young people, young kids. They got a lot of other things they could be learning other than that. Like, that just doesn't have to be. They're wasting their time trying to do all of that, but the things that they should be paying attention to, they're not paying attention to. Like I said, like this mother, Wi-Fi made me do it. Facebook made me do it. Instagram made me do it. I'm being manipulated by the internet. I would have never done this otherwise. Girl, so what was somebody was climbing through girl. But see, that's what she was setting up. Girl, I don't think not for 1 minute, you can't fool me with that. I don't think for 1 minute you believe when you said it, now or ever, that you were being manipulated by anybody from Facebook. I think that you was trying to set up your insanity defense right at that moment. Like, okay, how am I going to get out of this? Okay? Because that's what you went immediately. You went with insanity. Then I guess your lawyers talked about other possibilities, other things you could do. And so then y'all went with the plea, the plea that she ended up changing her mind and, putting forth. But in the beginning, she was already, I'm just going to play crazy. Facebook made me do it. The internet made me do it. Manipulated. Manipulated by who, girl? You were on social media perpetrating a fraud. You were on social media playing like everything was good. Your life was perfect. You posting everything. One of those, those girls, every move they make, they posting it. Every picture got to have a post. Every time you go out to eat, every time you take the kids somewhere, you got to have a post. So how are you being manipulated by the internet? I'm trying to understand that. That doesn't make any sense to me. That was just a bold-faced lie from the very beginning. She was already trying to plan it. She was already trying to put it together, child. Okay? Like, girl, no. No, 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 no.
Y'all having a good time?
Oh, look at those little baby angels. They are what's trending in true crime. Their mother faced a judge just days after she was accused of fatally shooting her two boys to death. 32-year-old Tiffanie Lucas is her name. That's her right there. Look at her. Charged with 2 counts of murder, appeared in a Kentucky courtroom Tuesday. She's accused of murdering her 6- and 9-year-old sons, those beautiful boys. Police say she shot them both in the head. How disgusting is that?
Shot them both in the head. Manipulated by Facebook? You shot them both in the head. In the head. And remember, 4 times in 30 seconds. So boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. That's how she, boom, 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 in the head. 4 shots. That is no manipulation. I'm sorry. Stop it right now. You were not manipulated. You intentionally shot them, and I don't understand what for. You know, what for? What could she have possibly done? Oh, like somebody said in the chat, wanted a new life possibly? You know what I mean? Oh, I'm not working. You know, I got 2 young boys that are tying me down. Maybe I want to, you know, you see she dolled up, prettied up. Maybe she want to take trips. Maybe she want to, you know, be with different men. Who knows? And the boys are in the way. A person that looking like her, look like she wants to be a kept woman, little bougie white lady, okay? Bougie white girl that like black men. Look like she probably like living on the fast end of life. So the boys are in the way. She wanna, you know, play that role. She wanna be out in that life. Is that what it was? The boys were in the way. She wanted to live a new life. She wanted to, you know. But one thing she did want, she wanted everyone to think that everything was good, that her life, you know, was picture perfect. She was living that social media life. Everything is not what it seems. And that's, you know, that's just really the lesson of this story right here. That things could be looking like, you know, it's all good. Like, look. Things could be looking like it's all good. Look, the teeth, pearly white teeth, perfect makeup, the boys smiling in the picture. But then look at that cold, calculated look in the mugshot. That's who she really is. The eyes tell it all, just dead. She looked like a whole different person. That doesn't even look like the same woman. Dolled up, look like veneers. And moments before she took her sons out and took their lives, she had them in video, in the store, shopping, posting to Facebook. Does that seem like somebody that was manipulated? Wi-Fi made her do it. Facebook Wi-Fi. She would have never done it in any other circumstance if she had not been manipulated through Facebook. I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that excuse. I want you to let me know, what do you think that means? Let me know in the chat right now. What do you think that means? Wi-Fi made me do it. And if you catch the replay, please drop in the comments and let me know. What do you think that means? Wi-Fi made me do it. Facebook Wi-Fi made me kill my kids because I was manipulated through Facebook. I would have never, ever done this had it not been for someone through Facebook. And she really didn't even say that it was a someone, that it was a person. She said she was manipulated by Wi-Fi. I think that was just, I think that was all just a gimmick. I think that she was just saying that, setting up her insanity plea. She was trying to make herself sound crazy. Because that's a direct contradiction from how she posts on social media. Somebody that feels like they're being, you know what I'm saying, manipulated or having some issues on Facebook, they wouldn't constantly be on Facebook posting everything, making it look perfect and doing that whole thing that people do on Facebook, posting every chance you get, posting everywhere you go, posting every moment of your life. A person that's manipulated through something, they trying to stay away from it. That's a direct contradiction. You weren't being manipulated. You were manipulating people. You were leading people to believe that you was living a life that you weren't living. We could take one look at these photos and videos that she posted, and we would think that she's somebody that works, that she's somebody that got, that she's got it made. She's got it all. 2 beautiful boys. She's pretty. She's got, you know what I mean? She's hanging out and drinking and looking pretty and looking fabulous. That's what it's given through the Facebook account. That's what the posts are giving. So how is it that you're being manipulated? Ma'am, you're manipulating the public. That's what you're doing. Marquita says, right. What does that mean? How is Wi-Fi going to tell you what to do? Yeah, she was saying that she would have never done this any other time, that she was being manipulated through Wi-Fi, Facebook, and the internet. She would have never done it. And then she said that someone gave her the gun. Someone gave her the gun and left it in her room. It was an accident. No, you picked up that gun and fired 4 times in 30 seconds. That's not an accident. But it is the 2 life sentences that equal 10 years apiece for me. And getting out on parole in 20 years for me. That took the cake for me. No death penalty. She took the lives of 2 young boys. No death penalty. She took the lives of 2 innocent young boys. And her excuse was Wi-Fi made her do it. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy all the way around. So the system failed these boys, and I feel like their family failed them as well. Because, now after everything is all said and done, they want to get up here and say that there were issues. They knew about her drug addiction. They knew that she never worked. They knew that the boys were being left in the house alone. Like, okay, so what did you do to intervene? Nothing. And they're dead. It's sad. It's a sad story all the way around. So you guys, that's really it. That's all I have for this story. It is a sad and touching story, to say the least. Like I said, I'm not buying the whole Wi-Fi thing at all. I'm not buying that Wi-Fi has to do, is to blame for any of it. I don't, for 1 minute do I believe that at all. Okay? I don't believe it. I don't believe that. Not for 1 minute at all. So you guys, if you have any stories that you come across as we get back acclimated to doing the true crime and bringing content to this channel, if you have any stories that you would like me to cover, anything you come across in the news, you guys know where to email me, teachyouhowtotube@gmail.com. You can always send me emails there. Okay, if you want to support the channel, you can always send us a Cash App. You can send us a PayPal, Venmo. All of that information is on our About page. We have 3 different channels if you would like to support. We have the Sweet Pea Diaries. We also have a hair channel, a Soul Sisters Diary, and that's where we sell our hair care products. We have a natural hair care company, Soul Sister LLC. You can always go over to our website if you would like to purchase those products, and all of that information can be found on our main channel, can also be found on this About page and in the description box in the below on this video. Okay, so you guys, thank you for joining me. Thank you to everybody in the chat. You guys, make sure you like this video on the way out. If you catch the replay, make sure you like the video, share, leave some comments, help us get back in the algorithm, and meet me back here next Tuesday at 8:30. We had some little technical issues, which is why I was late. And we had a little bit of issues during the stream as well, but we're going to get back into the swing of things. Okay. So thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for being patient tonight as you waited for me to get on. So thank you guys. You guys enjoy your night, enjoy your evening, and I'll catch you guys on it. Oh, happy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays to all of you guys. Hope you're spending it with those that you love. Hope you eat lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of turkey, ham, whatever it is that you do, but just make sure that you spend it, you're safe, happy, and blessed with your loved ones. And I'll catch you guys next week. Bye.